Right. Okay, so what we're going to do, we'll see this one. We go to here. We have an A1 sheet. We want to load an A3. Go there, new sheets, load. Go down to international metric. Go to title blocks, A3, and load. Oh, and okay, sorry. All right. So here we've got our sheet here. We rename it. Rename here, and we go A01, and we'll call it whatever, architectural, whatever we call it. Architectural plans, whatever you want to call it. All right. So if we go OK, put that information in here. All right. And under, if you want to fill in this information, don't double click on here like I did earlier. Go down here and put the information here. Alright, so preview might be an initial, AV say, designer, call it whatever you want to call it, AV, whatever. So if I go there, apply some of that information, wherever, information, should have gone in there, where's it gone? No, I can't see it. We'll just leave that for now, nothing's working. Alright, so let me just show you how to put that plan on there. So if I go to architectural, I will click on it and I just let go and I come in here and I drag it and just drop it in here. Alright, so there it is. Now that looks quite good, and sometimes, you know, it's not very often you're going to get it that good. The reason it is pretty tight in that rectangle there is because I did some preliminary work earlier. If I go into here and I activate these little things here, it comes up with those, or it comes up with that. If I go over, it comes up with a dotted one. The dotted one, or the dashed one, is actually the annotation limits, and the solid one is the model limits. In fact, I could have done it a bit better. I could have dragged this over a bit more. I could have dragged it up to there and it still would have been okay, because all I've got to make sure is that my dimensions, for example, are within the dashed limits, and they should still show up. Yeah, that's right. You can see here, if I go over here, I'm missing some of the dimensions, so I need to be careful. I can adjust that separately, all right, each side. That's good. All right, so that's Y, and then if I go into, and then I can just turn this off, otherwise that'll sort of print, so I want to turn that off after I've adjusted it, and apply that. And then go to architectural, and there it is. So it's basically how it was before. But the other thing you can do is click that and right click and go activate view. So it's like going into the viewport, like AutoCAD, through the viewport into the model, and you can in theory then turn these things on in here, and you can play with them within the sheet, so you can see it in context with some other viewports you might have in there already. Right? So you could play around with it even here, but then you can right click and deactivate view. Right, if you want to, this is a bit tricky, if you want to change the length of that line, you go and click on that line, okay, which is a natural thing to do. You click on that viewport, I'll call it a viewport for intents and purposes. All intents and purposes is the proper way to say it. Okay, so you click over there, and then it gives you these little dots, and then you can adjust the dots like that and make it bigger. Now, if I want to move that along so that one is sort of under here rather, if I did that, see how it moves the whole thing? Because I had clicked on here to modify that before. So then you need to do on that, click that only, and then you should be able to move that only along the way, sort of thing, like that. So for changing the length of that line, you've got to click on the viewport, then you can do that. To move it, you click on that thing, and then you can just drag it, okay? Alright, so if I want to put in another view, I have one already made up here, I think, or 3D, no I haven't. But you can create this quite easily. You can right click and duplicate view, duplicate, and you can have one like that, and you can just rename this one here. and call it 3D view, for example, and the break it, have you? Okay, so we go to down here. We'll have one in a minute, and we'll go to what happened there? I must have moved it out of the way. What happened? There it goes. All right, so I must have had it latched on and moved it somehow, but for this one here, we'll just drag that one in here. Now, that looks all right. That's not too bad. But if you want to get it a bit smaller, you can muck around with the scale as well. You can make the scale, say 1:200. And if I went to here, you find that it's a bit smaller now, a lot smaller. Right? Don't really want that. That's fine how it was. And you can again click on here, and you can change this, and then you can click on here, and you can move this, put it somewhere a bit more comfortable, and then you can move the whole thing by clicking on the viewport thing. And again, you can activate. Again, if you don't like that view, you can right click, activate view, and you can just get it to look at a different view in here. And also, if I do these things, the page. No, that's not the page. I'm working within the viewport thing. So I activated it. All right, so that's that. Right click and deactivate that. Okay, then you can adjust it better and that sort of thing, whatever. All right, and you can move the whole thing up like that. And you can bring your south elevation in the same sort of fashion and that sort of stuff. All right, so that's basically that. Any questions there? No. All right. We can move on to the next we'll move on to exporting a 3D view into AutoCAD. So for example, we'll come here, we like that view, we can go to export CAD formats, and you have DWG. Let's see what we got here. Okay, in session export, that's it. Current view sheet only. Okay, so any other options here we'll look at next. Okay, set and close or next. Alright, what have we got? We've got export views on sheets and links as external references. So it will actually, any Revit links you might have in here, which we'll do that when we do our structure. We will have an architectural link in it. It will export it as an XREF in AutoCAD terminology. Alright, so and you can also have a choice here to change the format to whatever AutoCAD format. What else is there that's important? That's about it, I think. You go OK. And just make sure you know where you put it. So there it is. Give it a name. It says it's exporting the 3D view of this architectural drawing 14. And there, if I had AutoCAD open, we could have had a look at it. Alright, so that will be a 3D AutoCAD file. If you want to have a 2D, for example, the architectural plan, do the same thing, but double click on the architectural plan, and then you get a 2D floor plan in AutoCAD. Right. Okay, so then we'll do the IFC. You can see that the bottom is actually woken up and it's doing something. All right, finally, now if we had what they call external links in here, Revit links, in other words, if we externally referenced or linked into this drawing another file from another source, like an external reference, or they call it links. You know, if it's a Revit file and you externally reference it in a Revit file, it's called a Revit link. So we had a Revit link in here, and we wanted to export out this Revit file as a DWG file. It won't merge the two together. It will still keep that link as a DWG file, but it will just externally reference it into a file, into a new DWG file. So it converts links into external references, which are basically DWGs anyway. But you end up with two files, not one, if that was the case. All right, so architecture is the same, and if we go and do that, just export to CAD formats. There it is. Where did we live? Okay, so then we go next. and just okay that. Alright, and at this point I'll just pause this thing here. FH, start that recording. Now this is a 3D view we exported earlier. There it is, open. It looks like the the preview looks like the Revit preview. Let's see what we get. Did I press open? I hope I did. I didn't. Alright, so here it comes. Let's see. 18% done. Gorgeous. You like the lollipop color scheme? This is looking more like the stuff you were doing a few weeks ago with your other, with your 3D solids. That's not really true anymore. Okay, so let's have a look at that. So what is this? We've got that. We'll change this to something else like that. What is it? Anyway, it's a 3D thing. It's pretty good. If I list it, LI for list, it's a polyline. It says it's nothing. It puts it in a roof layer. So it has some cleverness about what it is and what it puts it under. If I list this one here, it's an A wall layer, so it's just using A for architectural. It uses the AEC, the architecture, engineering, construction sort of software industry, I suppose. They do use those prefixes, and it's got a history to it as well. All right, so anyway, that's what it uses to put things in, and imagine that's some glazing. All right, so there you go. So that's that. What do we get in the 2D? We got that. All right. So this is what we got. A nice AutoCAD looking drawing. Okay, so is it 3D? I don't know. I'm hoping not. No, just 2D. That's it. So it should be. All right. So that's what that is. So that's what you're getting. It does have some sort of layering, which you can actually get in and modify and create to your own needs, and that's under manage as well. Okay, so that's what we got there. If we quickly go back to this, hopefully we won't run out of time, because now we lost our time, and go to suppose leave that there for a minute. We're looking for 15 up here. If I export this to IFC, I go down here, export. IFC is always hiding. It's down the bottom here. There it is. Industry foundation classes, which is what? It's basically the XREF equivalent to exchanging, sort of a common format for all BIM software. So you might get Tekla structural steel software, also exporting to IFC, and that all can be read into one. Even people sometimes, even people that only deal in Revit. So you have the architecting Revit, you have the engineering Revit. They communicate. Sometimes they choose to communicate in the IFC language rather than the Revit language. I don't know why, but it happens. All right, so let's go with that. IFC. It's quite simple. You just do that. There's nothing really, nothing else to do. You just go save really, and I've got one already there, so it just asks me to replace it, but it just thinks about it, and that's about it. And then you simply open it up in a new project. As a new project, if you want to bring it in. All right, so I'll leave it there, and just stop this thing